Let's walk on a journey into the Alberta Diabetes Institute, where we're completely focused on building stem cell therapies to treat diabetes in patients. 25 years ago, we did our very first Edmonton Protocol patient, Brian Best, a teacher who really couldn't function because he had such severe hypoglycemia. He'd been in the middle of a class and basically faint. We gave him one islet transplant and his blood sugars improved dramatically. His insulin requirements reduced by half. That was unexpected that the first patient would be able to come off insulin. There'd been 273 islet transplants done in the world, and very few of them worked. I did not think the Edmonton Protocol would be any different. Stem cell therapies have come an awfully long way in parallel with the advances in the Edmonton Protocol over the last 20-25 years. Stem cell therapies can either be patients' own, which is our interest, but we know that's the most ambitious research you can do. You can also make banks of cells that are not patients' own, what are called allogeneic. And what this means for us is that we can now potentially make patients' own cells using stem cells, and we can take a blood sample, that's what we're working on in the lab, from a patient with type 1 or type 2 diabetes, or a patient even that's had surgery and had the pancreas removed, and we can make islets from the blood. It's a very complex process. It involves taking the white cells from the blood, de-differentiating them in a process that makes them into what are called iPS cells. So the question now is, how can we make this kind of treatment, the Edmonton Protocol, more available and more appropriately for patients with less severe diabetes? And our team in the lab is a fairly small team. Dr. Deach and Rena and Heidi and our technicians and graduate students are working incredibly hard to try and solve this puzzle. We work very closely together. If I look back, that team's been working on the stem cell side of it now for about 6 years. We have made phenomenal progress because we began that process from scratch, built a new lab from scratch, and have been able to master the techniques now over the last short while. But that work continues, and it's tough work, but we have to do that in order to reach the first patients. Everybody wants to know how long this is going to take to get to the end. I can't answer that. I know what we've got to do today, I know what we've got to do tomorrow, I know what we're going to do next week, and I know what challenges we have right now, but I can't predict exactly how long it's going to take. How long is it going to take to get a data set that is completely safe to put in a patient? When we get there, we'll get there. Not only is this a very ambitious project, it's exceedingly expensive. We're continually peering over the cliff face, seeing how can we fund this kind of work. We know it's going to work, but we need that proof of concept. But this is exceedingly ambitious. So we certainly need philanthropy as well to give us the flexibility to move with the ideas as fast as we can as we try to take the stem cell therapy to the clinic. Very exciting journey, one in which I think will ultimately definitely work for patients with all forms of diabetes. But getting to the point where we can prove that it works is our next big challenge.